Welcome to this week's reading vlog. So this week I am not doing a theme, but I am actually counting how many hours I spend reading. So how much do I read in a week? This is not a typical week. We're on school holidays. Everything is all over the place. So I won't say this is a very typical reading week for me, but I'm actually interested to see how many hours do I actually spend reading and how many books do I consume in that time. So last night I picked up a book. And I finished it. I could not put it down. So I spent, I think it was 1 hour and 58 minutes reading this. I'm just going to text a message from my mum. No, she's just talking about the new moon eclipse. Murder at Spindle Manor. Wow, what a wild ride this was. Very surprising book. I was not expecting to enjoy this as much as I did. I've given this 4.75 stars. It was so close, but just didn't have that 5-star feeling. But what a fun time. And there go the church bells. So this very much reminded me of The Witcher. Instead, you have a gun-slinging woman who is a huntress, and she is tasked with killing monsters. And her latest case involves this group of traveling sort of entertainers and family who are stuck at an inn whilst there is a storm going. Someone in this group of people is a monster. So I believe it was called a doppelworm. So basically this creature kills a human, skins them, sucks out their brain, and then becomes them. And they have all of their memories and emotions and everything. So it's very hard to determine who the doppelworm is. So that is her task. Unfortunately, some other people start getting murdered. Not in the doppelworm manner. So there's a human there that's also icing people. So she's got 2 killers pretty much on the loose. And she has to determine who the doppelworm is before morning, because if they are able to go on to the big city, you'll never find them again. They will just kill host after host and you'll never find them. There were so many things going on in this book. So many things. I didn't even try to hypothesize who the killers might be. I thought, no, Chanel, there's too many angles and too many convolutions. Just go with it and be surprised. And I was. I thought it was fantastic. It was well done. There is an interesting world building and magic system at play here. So basically, the hunters and huntresses work and are created and trained by these beings known as the nobles, I think it is. At first, when they're mentioning the nobles, I thought, oh, they're talking about the gentry. No. So these are like 12-foot alien-like beings, and everybody sort of is ruled by them. They are above the law, and they are very interesting. I'm very intrigued by them in general. And also I found the cast of characters fantastic. So they are varied, they are eccentric, and they are fun. I found that Isabeau as a huntress works well. She toes that line between personality and stoic professionalism, kind of like Gerald from The Witcher. But she's fantastic. I like her. She has a coach hand who's also a woman named Evie, and she's feisty, and she's got kind of like a tomboy energy going for her, and love that as well. So their dynamic was fab. Just the way this was done was perfection. So previously, you remember I read a book called The Tainted Cup, which was once again one of those murder mystery ones, but it was just full of interrogations and interviewing, and it wasn't interesting, it was boring. And the Leviathans in that, barely mentioned, barely on page, whereas this one, monsters galore. And when I say I was creeped out, I was, for a second there, I was reading this in bed. I had to put the book down when this one scene was like revealed of what she actually saw. And I had to go like, oh, that's disturbed me. I am thoroughly disturbed. So it is scary. This is the one time in my life where I actually rued my imagination. I thought, oh, I wish I didn't have such a vivid imagination. I wish I couldn't visualize these creatures in such intimate detail right now. I wish, because I would like to scrub that from my memory. If you don't like spiders too, stay away from this book. I'm just going to put that out there. But yes, so way more creepy than I was anticipating. But like I said, that it was entertaining. The way that they conducted the interviews was entertaining. The way that the interviews were also bracketed by events occurring. So the pace was fantastic and everything just worked. Like I said, this is 4 it was almost 5 stars, but like almost there, but definitely going to be an honorable mention in terms of my favorite books this month. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. it was also giving me kind of like supernatural vibes too. There was a humor about it. There was some funniness there. And that reminds me of Supernatural. I'm sorry, my voice, it's the choker probably. I'm like, it feels like I'm being strangled by a very, very weak man. I'll use my strong hand. That's what it feels like. I should probably take it down. Not sure if I want it up rather than down. But I digress. Yep, fantastic. It is 249 pages and I loved it. I loved it. So like I said, I sped through it, couldn't put it down. So started this vlog off to a great start. I'm very, very happy. When that happens, it's just so energizing when you read a good book, and it reminds me why I love reading. Because look, I know people talk about book slumps, and yes, you do feel that slump. The best way to get out of it, my dudes, is just keep reading, because you'll eventually get a book that lights your fire. Like this one did. This one absolutely did. So adored it. The other book that I have picked up and that I'm currently reading and that I've just read for 1 hour is The Blighted Stars. So this is a sci-fi, and it was a little hard to get into. It was, like with sci-fi, you get a lot of terminology and world building. That's a lot for your brain to process. So the first chapter did feel like that, but the pace picks up afterwards. So basically it opens up, you're on a spacecraft in this world. People's consciousness are put into bodies. So these aren't their actual bodies, but their consciousness is in there. And when they die, they go back to this lab or whatever it is, and then they're transplanted. This world is mostly run by a conglomerate of like businesses or companies, whatever you want to call them. We have the head of this powerful Mercator family who pretty much like control the universe. And they've been doing that for a very long time. And his progeny, his son. So we've got a very hard ass head of the family, like someone that, human life can be used as collateral to further his own means, and the son who's a bit of a soft boy compared to his daddy. But shit goes wrong on this ship and it is compromised. This really bizarre stuff starts happening, and especially in regards to these creatures called I think it's malformations. I can't remember the term, but it's like messed up humans. So they print bodies to put the consciousness in, and sometimes the printing goes awry and you've got like these humanoid feral animal creatures, and that's happened, and they've turned on the crew. They're trying to evacuate. The father is killed, but obviously his consciousness will go back, but he tells his son, go home. The son doesn't. So basically this trip was to go to a new planet. The Mercator family are coming under fire a bit because they do drill planets for resources, and it seems that there's this blight of lichen, shroud lichen, I can't remember what it's called, that is then occurring on these planets that have been mined and killing them. And so you've got a renegade rebel group, I think they're called the Conservators, who are trying to take down the family and stop this from happening, because they believe that the drilling of these planets was causing them to collapse and die. Whereas the Mercator family are like, no, it's not us. It's just a phenomenon. And the intriguing part is that in this, so the Mercator family have like basically these bodyguards. They call them X's, and their sole purpose is to protect the Mercator line. One of these X's turned against the family, testified against them, and said they're causing the destruction. She was put on ice. However, somehow this crafty woman has gotten her consciousness implanted in one of the X's on this ship, who is now guarding the son. So it's sort of like they're enemies, but the son doesn't know it. But she knows it. She's trying to keep up the facade, but at the same time, she's also getting to know the son. It's like, maybe the son has fallen further from the apple tree than the father. Maybe he's a bit different. Maybe he could be an ally. But there's not just that going on. There's also something else. One of the ships, this is the part that really hooked me in. There were two ships together. One of the ships started firing on their ship also while they were in chaos, really hastening the destruction process. But that other ship, all of the human crew are still asleep. And that other ship has turned off communications. So the survivors are trying to contact the other ship, but they can't. And they're like, what's going on? Why did the ship fire on us? Why can we not get through? That ship, turns out, has become sentient, which is very interesting. But they also have told us that there is a saboteur on board. There was someone on the other ship that had sabotaged that ship and was killing it from the inside before everything started going awry. So there's just a lot happening. So much happening. This is a big book. This is a 500-page book. So obviously it's also part of a series. I'm guessing only so much can happen, but there's still a lot happening. I'm finding it very interesting. So the planet they've landed on, which was supposed to be a brand new planet, is already dead, already covered in the moss. did his family already mine it, or is something else going on? So I'm loving all of the layers of intrigue and goings on that are in this book. Besides that, I have also already decided that I'm going to read Thunderhead. So I went and bought a book randomly. You know I don't like to do that, but this cover was just so pretty and something just really drew me to it, and I thought, go ahead, Chanel, buy a book, because my library doesn't have it. So if I was to request them to buy it, it would be over a year before they get it in. They take a very long time to purchase books because it has to go through a lot of different processes and levels before they can approve a book, and then they have to purchase it, and then they have to get in, and they have to process it, and then they have to put it into circulation. It's a whole thing, but normally it takes around a year. So I thought, just get it, and I got it, and it's very pretty. Oh, baby, were you there the whole time? I didn't see you. I didn't see you behind me. You're sneaky. So that's the next book that I'm also going to read. I don't know what it's about whatsoever. You will learn along with me. But those are the two books that are on the lineup. Like I said, I will track my time reading it. So today I am taking my daughter and her friends out shopping. It's going to be a long day. And then I've got play dates tomorrow, but I'm hoping to get a decent amount of reading time done then, because it's the weekend and it's cold and it's rainy. And that's the best time to read. So I'll see you guys once I've read something. Catches my eye. This kitty, every time. How are you going to get down? What's your exit plan? What's your strategy? Okay, so I read for 1 hour today and I finished this book in the hour. This is Thunderhead. So this, it said it was a dark comedy. It's not comical, as it's not comical. If anything, it's quite melancholic, and it has a lot to do with mental health and abusive marriages. It has a very dark, dark undertone. The writing style is very purple prose, so it's quite flowery, but there's also this sort of loftiness to it that makes you feel a bit removed from it. It's got a very unique writing style. I will just read a little bit to you so you can sort of get a feel for it. I had argued that I needed to get out and free the mind and glory in the wonders of the universe. He had wanted me to stay and let the tradesmen in. You can do whatever you want with your day after the plumber comes. There is a certain elemental poetry in it. The longer I stare at it, the more it seems to become a sort of epigram. Had I let the plumber in? Not yet. Look at the entry. The plumber comes at 2 p.m. It is now 10:27 a.m. You cannot remember letting him in because it hasn't happened yet. Haze and milky mist all enveloping, I begin to feel that I am an unreasonable demand placed on a spouse, that my whole existence is an unreasonable demand placed on a spouse, on him. So in this book too, the author capitalizes him, he, his, and then she, and there's also quite a lot of phrases that are capitalized. In the beginning, perhaps I enchanted him, but now I exhaust him. Sometimes I gather myself and make a supreme effort to fully inhabit every moment, to dwell on the immediate and the tangible, and things are smoother then. It is the floating that makes him angry, the drifting like a small red balloon over the roves and the sea and the twisting figs. There are perhaps two ways of being in the world, two hemispheres, if you will, the first being living in the moment, the second, living outside the moment. Which of the two then is more real? Is it possible to inhabit both with any sort of peace and order? And how is this existential cohabitation on two planes to be explained to others who might prefer to consider only one? Will there ever be integrative possibilities in these diametric opposites? The visible and the invisible, the engagement and dislocation, the clod and the cloud, practicality and ecstasy, the bale and the bliss, him and me. So that's just a sort of example. There is a lot of inner dialogue that goes on. She has, I would say, two inner voices, and then obviously her husband's voice as well, with her inner monologue and her sort of stream of consciousness style that is portrayed in the book. So the themes of there's obviously, you know, the abusive relationship, and there are the children, so her role as a mother and how she feels about them. There are hints too of sort of like neurodivergent coding within this, in the way she feels about just any sort of social interaction, and even the ringing of a doorbell, which I very much resonated with. So this is, yeah, look, it took me a little bit to get into because the style is so unique and a bit odd. Bluebell. But I think I really enjoyed it. I don't know, I have mixed feelings. I love the cover, and I think I would probably give this 3.75 stars. Look, I do tend to enjoy books about stay-at-home mums and wives who are just contemplating life in general and having a bit of an existential crisis. That is something I enjoy. But yeah, I think I like it. So, I think maybe it would probably do with another go around, because like I said at the start, I was a bit confused and I felt a bit detached from the story because of the writing style. But then I sort of got caught up with her flow of narration and got into the swing of things. So yeah, this was Thunderhead. And I love the cover. So it's got these beautiful iridescent holographic pearls, and then even the inside pages are just, they're stunning. Beautiful, beautiful clouds. She talks about clouds. There's quite a lot of beautiful commentary in here on the world in general, and some beautiful moments when she's playing with her children and like that magic of childhood. So yeah, I did really enjoy it overall. Maybe I should give it a 4. I think I'm giving it a 4. Look, I'm fresh off reading it. Normally I sit with the book a bit before rating it, but because I'm doing the how long am I reading for and what have I read, I thought I'd go straight into it. So yeah, 1 hour. So that's quite quick because I think it's long. But look, there are parts. Here's an example of like, there's different inner dialogue there based on if it's italicized, if it's in bold. The format is quite varied within it, and I like that. It just gives a little bit of difference that makes it exciting. There's ones here, boundaries that should not be crossed by Winona Dalloway. So she writes out like these lists. I do find them interesting. So yeah, I'm going with a 4. So yeah, 1 hour. I got I got distracted. 1 hour and how many pages read? 141. So it is a short book, but that was Thunderhead.
Hey, can't take pictures of someone without permission.
I'm giving you permission. I'm letting you take a picture. Okay, so I read for a total of 2 hours and 37 minutes today, and I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And guys, it's another 5 stars. This author does no wrong for me. I have loved every book in this series of hers, and that little one she did for the Kindle Unlimited. They're all amazing. Definitely understand though that all of her romance books contain trauma. So this book's trauma of the day are mummy issues and orphans. So those are the 2 biggest themes in here. There's tons of other stuff going on too, but those were the big ones. The premise of this is it's basically Good Luck Chuck, but with depth. So these 2 individuals both have been very unlucky in that everyone they date, once they've broken up with them, the people that they dated go on to meet the love of their lives. You got the main character who's asking on the Reddit thread, am I the asshole? Which is, I admit, I do read that thread. It's entertaining. And he's asking, am I the asshole? Because basically he was dating a girl, wasn't it, dumped her, and then she went on to marry his roommate. And so his roommate is now moving in with his girlfriend and leaving him saddled with the rent, which he can't pay and a lease he can't get out of. And so he has to now downgrade his apartment, and the only one available that he can afford overlooks this absolutely atrocious billboard of poop in a toilet. So to sort of get back at his friend for leaving him in the lurch and also marrying like his ex-girlfriend, he names his really ugly rescue dog the same name as his friend. And everyone is telling him, you can't name your dog the same name as your friend, change dog's name. He's like, I don't think so. And the girl ends up seeing this Reddit thread and is amazed because she has the same situation that everybody that she dates, as soon as she dumps them, next person they meet, their soulmate. So she lets him know, hey, I've actually got the same curse as you. And they start chatting and they decide that, hey, if we date each other and then break up with each other, then the next people we meet will be our soulmates. So they think they've like cracked it. But basically what you've got, what Abby Jimenez does well is you've just got this beautiful rapport building between the two of them. It starts off long distance and over texts and phone calls. Okay, that's the one thing I didn't buy as a millennial. As soon as they exchange phone numbers, he just calls her. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. You can't call someone for the first time without texting first and saying, hey, can I give you a call? There's no way I'm picking up that phone. It's like, don't unexpectedly call me, especially for the first time. It's something you have to get permission for. Just because I gave you my number, that does not mean that you can call me immediately. So that I didn't buy. But anyway, they start calling, and she's a nurse that's sort of a traveling nurse. So they do sort of stints here and there, and she never stays in a place long. But they just have such a great connection that she decides to go and do a stint in the place that he lives. All this other stuff happens. Like, it's a very plot heavy book. There's a lot of things going on. This Abby Jimenez does relationships really well, not just romantic relationships, but familial, friends. She does it really well and it feels real. And look, I like her sense of humor. Basically, the little in-joke that they have the whole time, they're constantly asking each other like, am I the asshole? And it's cute and they're adorable, and they both have their drama, they both have their shit, but they work. You know, and it's just lovely seeing them working through this so they can be together. And I really like that. I like that the people are flawed, because we're all flawed. We've all got our baggage and our trauma and everything else, and the issues we need to work on, and how sometimes those things can be worked on together and how sometimes they need to be worked on apart. And so I found it all very believable. I found it so heartwarming. This guy, look, Abby Jimenez does her characters well, and that she nails acts of service. Okay, she nails that, and that is one of my key love languages, acts of service. And so when she does it, I'm like, yes, please sign me up for a partner like that. Thank you. I want to be shown love like that. That would be wonderful. So this book is great. Is there smut? Kind of. It's low spice. You know, there is, descriptions kind of parts and pieces, but it's not smart. You know, it's just a bit of spice, a bit of more than just kissing and filling up. I'll just leave it there. But I will read everything Abby Jimenez writes. It's pretty much a guaranteed good time for me. You know, like if you want a good time, read Abby Jimenez. It should be plastered across women's bathroom stalls, pretty much. So I love that one. And that's all I read today. I've just been really busy. I think I've read less so far than I usually do. And that's just because we've been jam-packed social-wise, because it's school holidays. I can't really read when the kids are around, because I am the kind of person, and I know this is a flaw, but if I repeatedly get interrupted while I'm trying to read, I become a very cranky lass. I just do. I get very snappish, because it's just very frustrating when you're trying to get into it and then just mommy. So to avoid being a crabby mum, I just don't really read around my kids a lot. I'll read when I'm in the bedroom, or if they're watching a show on the TV, I'll try and grab some reading then. So once they go to their dad's, I'll get some more reading time in. But normally when they're at school and I'm at my desk working, like watching the market do its thing, I'll read there as well. But I haven't been able to do that yet. So I think I'll probably get just a really massive chunk of reading in over the next few days. And that's what it's like. I don't get a consistent amount of reading time every day. I might even read nothing, and then all of a sudden the next day I'll read for 8 hours. Like it fluctuates wildly. I don't think I'm going to keep this dress. I'm seeing it in the thing, and it's not working. I think it's too big. It's too stretchy, and I put it on and it's just not flat. It's not flattering. So I'll wear it once. Like, all my clothes are thrifted, But I still feel like I have to wear something once before I move it on. I can't purchase something and never wear it. But yes, I don't think this is for me. I think I have to wear a jacket over the top to make it look cuter. Like I love the sweetheart neckline. That's gorgeous. I love that, but it's not working out. But yes, this evening I'm also going to that new book club. I don't want to go out. I don't know if anybody else is like this. I don't know if this is old age. I don't know what, but I am not a nighttime lady anymore. I'm not a lady of the night. I like to do things during the day. So evening plans, unless it's something like someone's getting married, it's someone's birthday party, I'm going to say no going forward. And so unless this book club is absolutely phenomenal and I've met my like future BFFs there, I'm probably not going to return. But I'm just going to tonight just so I can see for my own curiosity what it's like, if it's any different to the other daytime one that I go to. But otherwise, yes, like to get myself to go out now, well, it'll be actually full evening when I go out. It takes a mammoth amount of energy and effort, and I just would rather not use spoons for that. You know, I don't feel like it's a massive payoff when I've got an afternoon book club that I like, and that's much easier for me to go to because it's literally right before school pickup. So I go from that to picking up the kids. So, but anyway, I'll tell you about it tomorrow when I see you, and also let you know what reading I've done. I will be going back onto the Blighted Stars. I think that's what it's called. I keep forgetting the name, but I'll go back to reading that, I reckon. Okay, so I just finished the Blighted Stars. So I read this for 4 hours and 35 minutes. I can't remember the page number, but I'll put everything up there. So this is how long it took me to read this book. 5 stars. Loved it. Look, it was a bit to get into. There's a lot of world building, so you have to learn the whole backstory. There's a lot of layers. I would say that this is a parasite sci-fi kind of book, but it's done really interesting, even the way that they transfer their consciousness into prints, like human prints. The AI ship facet, I didn't think that I could get emotionally attached to a ship, but I did. The romance in this, I love it. It's slow burn, it's forbidden love, it's enemies to lovers. It is I remember you but you don't remember me kind of thing. And normally I hate that one. I hate the amnesia thing where one person remembers and the other person doesn't, but this one I don't mind. So I really enjoyed it. I thought the pace was good. I am annoyed that it's ended and I have to read another one, so it's a series. I would have loved for this to be just one big book and have it all wrap up in the one book, personally. I don't know how they're going to, like continue it on enough that I'll stay interested, but we'll see. But it's very complex, it's creepy, it's tangled, it's quite tangled, and I don't understand how it's all going to get ironed out. You know, I'm like, well, how can this be happy ever after? I'm hoping for it, but with sci-fi, you never know. You never know what you're going to get. But I love Tarquin. Tarquin is that lovely blend of a nerd boy, kind, can still be a badass, can still be a rebel, a bisexual cinnamon roll who has some power, has that like regal haughtiness, but still cares about people and is still a soft boy. I like it. And obviously they've paired him with the dynamic of a really tough, elite warrior woman who's intelligent and puts him in his place and isn't afraid also to be put in her place, you know. I love them together. This one only has just, a kiss, so it's not giving a lot in that. There was like not a lot of spice, but it was delicious what was there, and I loved it. It wasn't just, so that's an added bonus. Look, with sci-fi, I do like it when it also has a romance, but I mostly read sci-fi for the plot, let's be real. And this was interesting. This was well done. I think maybe it could have been edited down a little bit, a touch in some of the places, some of the scenes. But boy, it's just chaos. It's just going down constantly. So it's quite full on. You know, as soon as they sort of get around one thing, another thing happens, or just a cascading effect. There were twists and reveals in this, which are really interesting. I'm definitely going to read the second one. I think I might take a little break though, because it's so full on, and I don't think I could do another massive tome with such intricate world building straight away. I think I need to take a bit of a break, but I'm definitely going to read the second one, and I hope my library has it. I really do. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was good. So far, this has been a phenomenal week. I just went into this one doing the how much do I read in a week thing, and I had been randomly choosing books on my TBR, but they've all hit. I think it's been the best reading stretch that I've had, just back to back. So we'll see if it can continue all the way to Saturday. I don't normally film every day, and I normally vlog after 4 days of reading. So I don't do a whole week before uploading a video. So this is a bit odd, a bit unusual for me, but I don't know what I'm going to pick up next, honestly. Just something very different, and that doesn't require brain power at all. Just very easy. So not sci-fi, not fantasy for sure. The kids are going to their dad soon, so I'll have some time this evening, but I don't know, I was thinking maybe I should just clean. I do like to clean as soon as they go and get the house all up to scratch, so then while they're gone I can just relax the rest of the time. I like to get the cleaning out the way, so I might do that. And my ex is coming over tonight so we can watch Andrew Schultz's latest comedy special, so I might not get any more reading done today. You'll probably see me tomorrow instead. But yeah, good. It was good. I'm not even looking at the camera. I've got it flipped the wrong way and I'm not wearing my glasses. So I'm looking over here and you're over there. You're over there, Chanel. Yeah. I must wear my glasses so I can see where I'm meant to be looking. But I thought I'd use the proper cameras this time, since I didn't need to check that I was in frame. Got myself all set up beforehand. But you're over here. You're on that side. Apologies. But I'll see you the next time I do some reading. I'll let you know how long I've read for.
How you going, babes? Oh yeah, get in there.
Hey guys, I think it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm still in my pajamas. I have no spoons today, so pretty much all I've been doing is reading, and I've read quite a little bit. So let's see. I read the book Homework, which I ended up DNFing at 55 pages. So this was a woman who was talking about her life and how caring for the home sort of relates to that, and a sense of satisfaction and a purpose. The part that I thought was really bizarre, I'm just going to go grab the book. So there's this bit where she's at a psych ward and she's doing it as part of her training to be a psychologist. My experience on the ward demonstrated to me in a lasting way how fortunate I was to be able to cook my own meals, do my own washing, and create my own sense of home. I just thought that was just, I don't know, the way she was trying to relate everything back to housework ended up feeling tedious. So this was the book. I just wasn't enjoying it. And I've read lots of books about caring for the home and housework and all that sort of thing, being in the home sphere and that sort of domestic mundanity in a way that I've enjoyed. It's actually a topic I do enjoy, but this one wasn't doing anything for me, so I put that down. And then I picked up Duck à l'Orange for breakfast, and that was an audiobook, so I listened to a bit of that. So the 55 pages of this and the Duck à l'Orange book ended up totaling 1 hour and 7 minutes. So Duck à l'Orange is about a woman who has broken up with her partner. They found somebody else. She still has his family's French recipe book, and she's on Tinder and she matches with this guy, and he's honest with her and tells her like, oh look, I'm seeing multiple people at the moment. And they sort of strike up an agreement to just be pen pals. Look, I don't find it very believable on Tinder. You're going to find someone that just wants to chat. I don't know about you guys, but with online dating, the back and forth chats are not the best part. Like, it's an evil necessity. You just have to get through it to go on the date, and sometimes to weed out people that you shouldn't go on the date with. So I just didn't think that someone wants to spend their time just chatting to someone on Tinder. I could understand if it was during the pandemic, you know, when you couldn't meet up in person, but this guy's literally just constantly banging chicks. It's like, is he really going to sit here and talk to this one? But that's the premise of the book, so obviously it's not meant to be realistic, I guess. But they start like chatting, but pretty much this was mostly like focused on her cooking the recipes. So I think if you're a foodie, you might like this. But I'd gone into it expecting a romance book, and I actually didn't like the banter between her and the guy. I didn't find it good or clever or sexy or flirty or anything. I actually was cringing a lot at it, and I thought, lady, just, you could talk to anybody. This guy's not giving you, like, serving up world-class conversation. Perhaps let him go. She was finding herself getting jealous every time he was, you know, coming back from a date or going on a date, even though they're not dating. I was like, no. I just wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't enjoying it, the writing style or anything, to be honest, the story of the premise, the characters. So I decided to let that go. I know I started off this week phenomenally with just so many amazing books, but that's okay. So I thought, let's push on, you know, let's keep the streak going. Let's not push through books that are doing nothing for you. So now I was thinking about what to read next, and I decided that I was going to sign up for NetGalley. So I know a lot of people get ARCs, like ebook ARCs or e-audiobook ARCs from there, and that you just make a profile, request some books, and you get what you get. So I was expecting to get nothing, to be honest, because obviously I haven't gotten anything. It's zero. I have a very small channel, even though I work at a library and I go to a book club, and I have a lot of reviews on Goodreads. I thought, oh, I don't think they're going to bother with me. But I got an ARC almost immediately. And I was like, oh, wow. Wasn't expecting that. Probably shouldn't have applied for like 100 books. I really did. I applied for the most because I thought I wouldn't get any. But I decided to give it a go. So it is just ebook and audio. Obviously, I prefer paper, but I think to get books, paper books, you have to like apply to publishers directly, I think. I don't know. Or if you're a big channel, they might reach out to you and just send you books. But anyway, I signed up. I had a little bit of an issue with the app, just in case somebody else is having the same issue. So I got sent an audiobook. You have to listen to it through the app. The app was not allowing me to sign in, and it wouldn't say why. I just tried to sign in and it would just go back to the sign-in page. And I checked my password. I signed in online, through the web browsers, all fine. I emailed them for help. They didn't reply back. So I thought, all right, let's try and figure this out. So basically, I figured out that I forgot the name now, CSRF token was invalid. And I think it circles back to that particular browser, because in the app, it tries to log you in via a browser, not internally in the app. I think it was going through Safari, which is not a browser that I use. And Safari was not allowing for cookies, and you need to allow for cookies. And so I figured it out, went to Safari, selected allow all cookies, closed the app, went back into the app, and then it worked. So if anyone else is having issue where it's just not letting you even sign in, it could be the browser that it's using, the cookies are not being allowed. Anywho, so the book that I got approved of was The Cemetery of Untold Stories. So this was an audiobook. I listened to it on 2x speed, so it took me 4.5 hours to read because it's a 9-hour book. I think this particular story would be better in a book format. I don't think audiobook is doing it justice, because the story is about a writer who, I think she was born in the Dominican Republic, but she lives in America now, and she decides after her father's death and getting bequeathed some land in her home country to turn it into a cemetery of untold stories. So she gets an artist to create a sort of tombstone, and she buries stories. There's stories from her father or herself that she's written, and people in the town can come and visit, but the price of entry is telling one of their own stories. So the idea of the premise was really beautiful. Unfortunately, the way that the narrative was structured made it very convoluted. So it is told through multiple POVs, so there's multiple characters in this, and it is told back and forth in time. So it keeps jumping timelines in that respect, and then also from the character's point of view. And they are loosely connected in certain ways, but like I said, because of the narrative flow being so disjointed, I was really grasping to try and figure out what the hell's going on. It was obviously rich in culture. It was a lot about families and secrets and love and loss and identity. So big themes, but like I said, the way that it was structured is what let it down for me. It was confusing. And then the way it ended, there were some stories that felt unfinished, like some of the character stories, and also the ending itself was very very soft, you know, kind of a nothing ending. So I don't know, I've given it 3.25. I feel like that's where I'm going to keep it. It reminds me of Isabel Allende's kind of style. It also sort of reminded me of 100 Years of Solitude. I have to go, that's the door. Okay, sorry about that. That was my ex-husband and my kids. My tween needed her micellar water because I get her the good one. The good one. I've forgotten where I left off, but it was okay. I just felt like it didn't come together with a nice bow, like it was a bit messy. So I did finish that. I will be doing more reading today because that is all I want to do, just read some books. And I think I've got some more arcs I've just been approved for already. These ones are ebooks, which I'm definitely happier about. I'm just not very much an audiobook person, but I did have some housework to do this morning. So I put the audiobook while I was doing that, and then I just lied there. I just lay there listening to it because just no energy. I was hoping to go for a walk today, but no, I didn't have the spoons. So hopefully tomorrow is a better day. I think I'm going to read, I'll put this one, something up here of what I'm going to try next. I feel like I should probably prioritize the arcs. I just didn't think I was going to get approved so quickly and from so many, so I'm a bit surprised. But it's definitely probably going to move around my TBR a little bit because I was a bit trigger happy with the amount of books. I was like, that sounds interesting. Yes, request. But I've already written up my review for the other one, so yeah, I'll probably check in tomorrow with you guys because it's going to set. The sun is going to set in an hour, and the lights on that tripod I have broken. They're broken, so the downlight situation is just not it. So I'll probably update you tomorrow of how much more reading I've done this evening. Oh, and the sequel to the Blighted Stars, my library has it, and it's already come in, so I'm going to pick that up tomorrow and bring it home. That will probably be read in the next vlog though, to see how much I read in a week, and then I'll start a new vlog. So I'll see you guys later. Hi guys, so let me tell you about how the rest of the week went. So I will put up the images here of how much I read on this particular day because I don't have those notes with me, so I'm going to do this in editing. But these are the rest of the books I read, all of which are arcs from NetGalley. And I really did stuff up by requesting all of them at once because now my rating ratio is trash because it's too many for me to read all in one go, but you live, you learn. So the next book I read was a picture book, children's picture book called Sunflowers Rise in the Midnight Sky. The illustrations in this were beautiful. It's a mixed media kind of illustration format, and they were stunning. They were very immersive. Sorry about the flock of corellas that you're hearing right now. It's evening. They're flying home to their nests. The premise of the book is sort of about dreams. And so the narration isn't quite strong. It's very dreamlike. It's very fantastical. And it has that chaotic, nonsensical element of dreams. So I'll probably recommend this for kids aged 8 and under who don't really need a very strong plot narrative or one that makes sense to enjoy the book. But I thought it was beautiful and I enjoyed it. And I think that was only like 39 pages and it took me like 3 minutes to read. And then we have The Illustrated Girl, and I give this a 4.75. This was really fun. So I said this is basically like The Princess Bride meets A Nameless Witch meets A Spindle Splintered. So you've got a young girl who ends up in a book. And she is 16. I would have preferred that she was 18, but that's just because I'm not a teenager. But basically she's in this story and she has to be kissed by a real boy before a certain date. And it's nearing that date. And she's just been spending most of her time sitting up in a tower, and she decides, okay, this isn't working. I need to go out and change the story. And so she does that. And this is really fun and charming. And like I said, it's got that sort of comical edge, but it's got the modernity of a modern day character stuck in sort of medieval fairy tale. There is a charming, brave, valiant knight. There are these virtue witches, which the concept of that was really interesting, really cool. And basically it's a quest type story. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a really good time. And the beginning was a little bit to get into because it was a lot of exposition of how she ended up where she is and why she's there. But once the tale gets started, it's quite fast paced, but not so fast that it feels shallow. There is a bit of depth there, but this is more of a tame novel. And in terms of romance, it's just chaste kissing and some longing looks. You know, it's for a YA, it's a little bit spicy, but I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I really would have liked to know more about the evil sorcerer Asphodel. They intrigued me. They were giving the Darkling kind of energy. But otherwise, this was a really good book. This was about 264 pages and I took around 1 hour and 26 minutes to read it. And we've got Cursed Under London. So I will admit with this one, I've ended up giving it 3 stars. If I wasn't reading an arc, I would have DNF'd. And I know that some people do DNF arcs, and that might be something I do in the future, but because I'm just still new to this, I thought I would persist and give them a thorough go. But yes, this is definitely something I would have DNF'd, and that's why it's gotten a 3. It's fine. It's giving Un-London and Neverwhere, because you've got this basically underneath London world where magical creatures exist. Some of them do also still exist in the above, but most of them are underground. And you've got a whole cast of characters. So this felt very frenetic to me. It felt very over the top, and it was super fast paced, and everyone had big, loud characters, and there was so much going on that I got swamped by it. I got overwhelmed, and I couldn't really understand what's actually going on, what's happening. You've got also a very over the top, dastardly villain, and it all sort of escalated quite quickly and then finished. There is gay romance in this, which was quite sweetly done, but at the same time, I don't know, I didn't get what I wanted from it, and I couldn't connect. But there were some beautiful elements in this, and one of those is a little dragon named Amber who stole the show for me. I absolutely loved her. That's kind of what I was wanting the dragons from Fourth Wing to be. So much personality, adored her, also loved the little kitty cat. So those 2 characters really made it for me. But I just think this was just not my style. This is just not a right fit for the type of reader I am. But if you like fast pace, and there was a comical edge, and there was a lot of diversity, and there was a lot of characters and a lot of magical beings, and they were trying to like find out a mystery of a murder, of what's going on. And it had a very sort of like obviously London vibe, like, you know, old school Regency kind of style. It reminded me of like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of energy, but it just wasn't for me. And then I read Long Live Evil. So this was 432 pages and it took me around 2.5 hours to finish it. And I've given it 3.5 stars. And that's basically because of what happened in the end. That really, what happened in the ending brought it up for me. Like the last 10%, things got really interesting. But before then, probably this would have been another book that I would have DNF'd because it just wasn't my style. So this also reminds me of a Spindle Splintered, but also Descendants because of the over-top dramaticness of it. And basically you've got a woman who has cancer and she's going to die, and she gets given a chance to live by going into her sister's favorite fantasy series, and if she finds the flower of death and life, she'll live, basically. And so she's thrown in there, kind of knowing the plot, kind of not, but she ends up inhabiting the character who is a villainess. Who gets brutally executed fairly early on. So she's already behind the 8 ball and she's got to turn her fate around. She does not want to go down the same path that evil sort of queen did. And so she's trying to finagle everything with her knowledge and change her character's fate so that she can get to this flower and live. This, though, she comes into the world with a very modern vocabulary to the point where her vernacular was a bit cringe. It was a bit much. And the part that lost me really, was the fact that the other characters who are meant to be in like a medieval fantasy started talking like her. And I was like, no, like they really would not understand her slang and her terminology at all. But they just sort of got on with it like it was nothing. Every now and again, they'd be like, what does AF mean? And I was like, it just felt off. Like I said, it reminded me of Descendants, where you've got these very sort of medieval, over the top dramatic characters, but they're talking like Gen Z. So I didn't really get on board with that. It also almost gave it like you couldn't take it seriously. That kind of edge. I know it was probably meant to be exaggerated and a bit different, you know, sort of modern retelling on the genre. But it just, I couldn't get with the energy of it. There was romance in this. I did enjoy that. It wasn't given quite a lot of screen time. Most of the characters in this I just couldn't connect to. They just felt very not believable. They didn't feel believable. I think at the end of the day, they felt like caricatures, and it felt too much like a cheesy soap opera. I think that's kind of what it felt like a telenovela. And I just, couldn't get on board. But like I said, the plot though at the end did sucker me in. I did find myself actually getting invested towards the end and going, oh, what's happening now? Oh, it's giving Carissa Broadbent vibes now, and I'm enjoying it. So I did enjoy that. Am I going to continue on? No. I just think once again that the style of the writing just wasn't for me. But I could see this probably being a big hit. I've got the vibes, and it's been do they call it blurbed? You know, when another author says something nice about the book. You've got Holly Black and I think Leigh Bardugo doing that. So those are some heavyweights that are saying nice things about the book. So I think this might be like a hit, you know, because it's like, oh, it's a funny, modern, you know, spin on this typical, normally very serious fantasy style of novel, but this time it's all about the villains. And yeah, I think Descendants did it better. So that's what I just feel like. But it's still 3.5 stars because it was entertaining towards the end. And then I read Wings of Sorrow. So this was 158 pages. It took me around 45 minutes, and I gave this a 3.5 stars. So look, immediately I was getting the Crows movie from Schitt's Creek. You know, I was getting that kind of vibe because crows are involved in this. It's a gothic tale. I can't talk much about what it actually is about because that would be a spoiler. So there is a magical supernatural element in this. There's a reason why this woman who's gone back to her childhood home with her new husband after her aunt has died, the house is haunted, and there's weird things going on, and it turns out there's a lot from her past that she's repressed, and there's a lot to do with her ancestry, and it's not going to bode well. Like, it's very ominous. So it is a horror novel. There's some like gross scenes. They liken it to the Birds movie, and yeah, that should give you some idea. It was very quick, very fast paced. So I think it lost a little bit in the backstory, like really understanding the world building and the magic system. I had a few questions like, but why? And why did this not affect this family member in this way? So it was quick though, it was entertaining, 3.5 stars. And then the final book that I read for this, How Much Do I Read in a Week, is Perfectly Wicked, which was 304 pages, and it took me about 2 hours and 10 minutes to read, and I gave this 4.75 stars. It was really good. It wasn't 5-star Abby Jimenez romance level, but it was like so close. I just didn't get that 5-star feeling, but this was, I don't know how they could have done it better, you know, so it was just missing that little bit of magic, I guess. But basically this is like practical magic meets supernatural meets grim. If you like any of those shows and movies, you'll like this book. You've got a woman named Holly. She has 2 sisters, all of whom have winter names. They've got the 2 aunts who also have seasonal names. Basically, everyone in this family has 2 twins and then another girl, so it's 2 twin girls and then 1 single female child all the time. And they have an apple cider business that's going out of business. And then this ghost hunter sort of comes along and he wants to film because supposedly there's been a ghost haunting the lady's orchid. And at first they're like, oh no, we can't have him close, he'll discover our secret. And I'm not going to tell you what the secret is, but then they need the monies. So they go like, okay, sure, you can film, these are the caveats, here we go. And it's a love story between him and Holly. And I definitely bought the romance. There was a great slow build up. It was somewhat spicy, like it doesn't fade to black, but it's not dirty, you know, it's not real slutty. It's nice. I liked the magic system in this. I liked the world building. So there was enough of a plot that it wasn't just romance. There was an actual mystery going on. There were really cool characters involved. I didn't like one of the sisters though, Missy. I felt like she was too much. But I loved it. It had quirkiness, it had cuteness and coziness, but it also had edge. It also had intrigue and mystery, and it did what it needed to do. I think there'll obviously be spin-offs about other characters in this. I could see some future romances being set up, if you will. You know, there are 3 sisters after all. So yeah, this was really good. I ended this week on an absolute high. I went in with like very low expectations though, because not many contemporary romances get me, and I haven't read a paranormal supernatural one that has. I've read the X Hex and Payback's a Witch and all of those, and they didn't do anything for me, whereas this one did. I'm very happy about it. And it's also got cute little animals too, if you like hedgehogs and little puppies and all that sort of thing. They're in here as well. It also even reminded me a little bit of Wednesday, the TV show, in terms of like the evil character in this. It was giving that as well. But yeah, so let me recap the whole week, and then I'll let you know how many hours I actually read in a week, how many pages, how many books, all that jazz. So we had Murder at Spindle Manor, which was 4.75. Thunderhead, which was a 4. The Blighted Stars, which was a 5. Just for the Summer, another 5. Homework, DNF'd. Duck à l'orange for breakfast, DNF'd. Cemetery of Untold Stories, 3.25. Sunflowers Rise in a Midnight Sky, beautiful picture book. The Illustrated Girl, 4.75. Cursed Under London, 3. So that was my lowest score for the week. Long Live Evil, 3.5. Wings of Sorrow, 3.5. Perfectly Wicked, 4.75. So this was an outstanding week of reading. Pretty good. So let's look at the stats. So this week I read for an overall 19 hours and 46 minutes. So this averages about 2 hours and 43 minutes of reading per day, which seems appropriate for me. I read 3,132 pages, which is about 447 pages a day, which once again, if you look at my monthly reading stats, that it adds up. It makes sense. In terms of how that was stacked, on the least amount of reading I did in one single day was for 1 hour, and the most amount of reading I did in one single day was 9 hours. So like I mentioned previously, the day that I don't have my kids and I'm not working and I'm staying home, out of the 16 hours I have for my leisure, at least half of those hours will be spent reading. The rest will be making food, doing housework, maybe watching something or calling a friend. So that's where I get the bulk of my reading done. I do read for about 8, 9, 10 hours on those days that I have to myself, because it's just me here home alone. So what else am I going to do? The shortest book I read was the picture book, which was 39 pages. And the longest book I read was The Blighted Stars, which was 491 pages. So overall, I read 13 books. 2 of those were DNFs though, so I read 11 books in total in 7 days. And like I said, this was a really great week. I apologize for the length of this video. Obviously, I'm talking about a lot of books, but that is everything for this week. Until next time, stay wild, Star Child.